So I guess it's come to this. We're going to talk about the thing that everyone's talking about now, microtransactions, and why you're wrong about loot boxes on Second Breakfast. Oh, hi there. I'm Musty Hobbit, and there's nothing that a hobbit loves more than another helping of Second Breakfast. So welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about loot boxes and microtransactions. And I want to discuss a little bit about what I think people are missing with regards to games and game budgets lately, and what and sort of the emotional response that we all kind of have to these loot boxes or these microtransactions and things that we are being forced to pay for lately. In today's always connected gaming environment, we have this desire from a publisher standpoint to keep users engaged with their games as long as possible. And so we've really started to see the point where games are now becoming platforms. Games are no longer a single disc, leave it, forget it. It's the game, it's continued development and continued support post-launch. And it's keeping those customers engaged from that point on that is really the challenge from a developer standpoint. And so you've seen a couple different ways for developers to attack this. And if you go even back to pre-Xbox Live, pre-PSN environments, you were dealing with expansion packs. Now these were in some cases standalone. These were additional story elements that were added at 6 months, 9 months later. These were ones that actually would almost do better drawing in new people to this, but also bringing you back if you were somebody who had played through the game at launch. Now you have a reason to go back and play some more. There's more story. There's more game that you enjoyed, and just took a few extra months to put that together. I myself found that those type of expansion packs were usually pretty effective, and it was always nice to kind of hold out a little bit and maybe wait until you get your collector's edition or your game of the year edition that throws all that together. That's kind of what I'm doing with Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm waiting for that to take its story DLC and the main game and get that one singular release instead of having to have instead of buying it now and then also then having to buy the DLC when that comes out. But that's one approach. Another way that developers have tried to keep their games alive, and you see this more in multiplayer than anything else, is map packs, especially your arena shooters. Halo is probably the biggest example that I can think of. Every Halo release up until 5 had these smaller 3-map additional packs that you could purchase. They were $10 a piece, and effectively it would be a little bit of tuning on the main game. It would be a few new maps, maybe a new weapon or two, and some additional game modes. And while these, I don't ever remember people really griping about these. These felt like they were substantial when they would come out. The problem with these is that they fracture a player base, and if all of a sudden you have only 2/3 of your audience adopts that map pack, then all of a sudden you've got 2/3 sitting over here, and then you have another third who cannot play with this group, and suddenly you have friends who just aren't willing to buy additional packs. You start to run into problems with your player base, and it causes people to leave, and that is totally the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish here. So lately you've started to see this proliferation of free content, right? Overwatch and the upcoming Battlefront 2 have at the forefront, they are saying your content, your story content, your additional changes to multiplayer are all free, all included with the main purchase of your game, and that is the extent of which by which you are obligated to purchase. But how do you keep your servers running? How do you pay the developers who have to keep developing beyond that launch date? You have to find some kind of suitable revenue stream, and that is where these microtransactions come in. Now, I understand that it feels dirty to have to pay full retail for a game and then also still continue to, if you are inclined, pay additional money for other things. And we've seen different approaches to how these microtransactions are being handled. The most egregious lately, people are unhappy about, is the Shadow of War microtransactions. I have not played Shadow of War. I cannot speak from experience, but I do know I've seen other people comment to say that they've played for 40 hours and they have not had the inclination to buy one beyond the one that they got for free. They've used in-game gold. They haven't spent a single penny. So I feel like people kind of take this, they're kind of blowing it out of proportion. I feel like we are seeing people unhappy about the fact that there are ways for people to advance in the game faster than they can, and so they ultimately kind of throw their hands up and say, this is wrong, this is dirty, I don't like this. And that's fine. You don't have to like this, and you aren't obligated to purchase these. That the incentive, or the thing that you get out of these loot boxes is effectively the thing that is one of the most entertaining things about the actual game. So if you wanted to spend money to not have the fun of achieving this and just go that route, who's losing there? Is the person who decides to go and actually play the game having a worse experience than the person who decided to fork over $1 to now not have to take as much time on that? I don't know. But I feel like people are quick to jump on Shadow of War, quick to jump on Star Wars Battlefront, quick to jump on any of these games that have these microtransactions, but I think we forget why it needs to happen. And what worse could happen if we didn't have them. These things are extremely profitable. I know numbers were thrown around about Call of Duty making billions of dollars just on the microtransactions. And that's because that game is extremely popular. And if people are willing to put money down on it, like they are, who's at fault there, right? You know, you spend it if you want to, and if you don't want to spend it, that's fine. I ultimately need to ask people to be a reasonable, informed consumer. Think about it. And if you don't want to buy it, if you don't want those skins for Overwatch, that's fine. If you just want to earn them through in-game gold, you can do that. You don't have to spend this money if you don't want to. But if you really love the game, and if it's something that you just can't live without, this is a way that you can achieve that without having to put in 60 hours a week on a given game, which a lot of people just don't have the time for. So I want to throw out a couple of options for ways that we can offset this additional cost that these more expensive, bigger games are costing nowadays, right? We could see a price hike of all games across the board, right? Not talking $60 anymore, probably closer to $80. With, you know, AAA budgets going higher and the number of staff that you need to manage to make these high resolution textures and things like that, these are things that we're going to have to figure out how to pay for at some point. So there's option one. Option two would be, let's go back to paying for our multiplayer content, right? Can't have everything free anymore. The problem is, as we've stated, is we start to fracture customer bases, and then you run into situations where you can't play with your friend because he didn't buy the map pack, and then that friend feels obligated to pick theirs up. In both of those cases, we could see maybe the elimination of microtransactions or loot boxes. Or, as I said, be an informed consumer. Think about it. If it's not right for you, if you don't want to spend the money, so be it, don't. It's the best way that you can handle it, and it's the best way that you can let the people who enjoy what they get out of going that route instead of playing the game can achieve. So that has been my thoughts on microtransactions today. Thank you for stopping by for Second Breakfast. Again, this comes out every Thursday. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how we can accomplish these high-budget video games that everyone seems to love without spending more money. And if you can come up with a way to do that other than the three that I proposed, please let me know in the comments below. Please like the video if you did, and if you are not already subscribed, I encourage you to do so. I do put out this video and this style of video every Thursday, and you can certainly look forward to hearing from me next week. And for those of you who want to stick around, I do just want to quickly talk about my week and how things have gone. Had a bit of an interesting stretch of a couple of days here. So we watched The Nightmare Before Christmas with my son for the first time. I was a little leery on that because I know there's some visuals in that movie that are a little bit intense for young children. Overall, he did just fine with it. I actually thinking about playing the Nightmare Before Christmas Xbox game, which I have sealed. I'm planning on opening that up to play that during this month of Halloween. Maybe he'll watch it with me, maybe not, but I just thought it's been sitting there. I know I got it as part of the Cartridge Club mystery box. So I'm looking forward to giving that one a try, finally. We had I don't want to say too much of a health scare, but so I'll try and make this quick. I brought this up on the CC Hangout from Tuesday night, but we visited the Children's Hospital at the University of Iowa, which has that nice new facility. Many of you may know about it because of the waving. The top floor of it is sort of overlooks the football stadium, Kinnick Stadium there. And so they've intentionally built like an observation area for the children who are inpatient there to be able to watch the football games, which is something that this city, the city I'm from, is really connected to. We don't have pro teams, we have the Hawkeyes, and that's what they really gravitate to. Anyways, we visited that hospital because my son had sort of a bump that had developed from a lymph node under his arm. There was a playground sort of trauma that happened, and so that was a couple months ago. It was actually before I went to Barrie, and we were nervous because it hadn't been really retracting. It hadn't really seems to have healed. So we went there to go have some of the specialists take a look at it to make sure that it wasn't something more serious, and it was not. That they're still asking us to monitor it. As long as it continues to reduce in size, we are in good shape. So far, so good on that. So hopefully I don't ever have to talk to you about that again. That was a bit of a just kind of something that kind of eats at your nerves. Anyways, I've been playing Diablo 3. I picked that up. I've been playing that co-op with others on Xbox Live. I am moving forward with Recore. I actually got some momentum on that. I feel like I will probably finish that in the next week or so. I picked up The Last of Us Remastered. I got myself to the point where we were when I had played it on PS3, which is maybe an hour and a half into the game. I wanted to play that one with my wife watching, and so we're going to still try and do that, but now I have the PS4 version instead, so we'll be playing through that. And I started Mass Effect 2, which is the November game of the month for the Cartridge Club, and I will be on the show for that one, so I wanted to give myself a good head start so I didn't feel rushed going through that, especially with November having holiday weeks and things like that in there. So all in all, pretty excited. I've actually gotten a chance to play quite a bit. Tonight, though, we are going to see 311. If you remember 311, they were a band from the mid-90s based out of Omaha, and they were pretty big in the alternative scene. They are coming to Cedar Rapids. We're going to go see them. My wife saw that the tickets were here, and she couldn't pass up a chance to see them again. So all in all, I'm pretty excited there. But yeah, this week has been a weird one, but we're making our way through it, and hopefully we don't have some of the weirdness that we've had in future weeks. So anyways, I think I'm going to stop there, but thank you for sticking around if you have. And again, same thing goes if you like it. If you like the video, let me know. If you dig this format, let me know. I like putting the meat of it up front, and then you can sort of have the conversation with me as dessert if you prefer. But I hope to see you again soon, and if you are around and want to check out the Cartridge Club Hangout, I want to stress again that the Hangout is something that is on my channel, but it is for the club. There are no invites necessary. If you are interested in jumping in, please feel free to do so. I know that we'll be talking about PRGE next week, although I am not going. There are a large number of people from the club who will be there. So I'm excited to hear what kind of fun they have, even though I will be staying at home. sadly enough. But anyways, I will take off. Thank you for coming by. I have been Musty. Take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Bye.